Welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to be sitting down with Tom Huynh, and he's going to share some of his thoughts on all the different new eye candy plastic shapes and specifically when he likes to use them. He's had a lot of success already this year fishing at like the absolute top level of professional walleye tournament fishing, and he's been using plastics a ton. So first things first, he's going to talk about when he likes to use the 3-inch minnow shape.
All right, so I got the eye candy minnow here, the 3-inch version, and again, you know, with that new eye candy line of plastics, you got the super stretchy, elasticy stuff. So I mean, it's typical, you know, you got your 3-inch minnow here, but you've got this much stretch in there, and that's good for durability. I mean, you got, you know, we're out here catching these walleyes, and you can go pretty much all day catch, you know. The other day I was out and caught a little over 20 and still on the same minnow. But you know, you got the super stretch here, and the design of this minnow is perfect for snap jigging. And I like to pair it with the tungsten jig here. This minnow is the perfect one for snap jigging. It has a great fall rapid hops, and the streamline, you know, the tapered body here with the little simple little forked tail, which is my favorite just for that. And the plastics, all of the new eye candy plastics are buoyant, they float. So when this jig hits, this tail is up here doing its little thing up here and gives that fish something a little bit more enticing to go after.
All right, next up, Tom is going to talk about the next size up in that minnow, and that is the 4-inch minnow.
The times when the fish are a little bit shallow and you got these fish schooled up, a lot of times I'll use that little 3-inch just to get it in there and pop it on the 1/8 ounce jig. Now in the summertime months here, those fish are going to slide out 15-20 feet, those weed edges and things like that, and I will bump up my jig head weight a little bit to get that extra pop and a bigger profile here, not only in the summer months to get that bait down there, but then also one thing to keep in mind with bigger baits in the fall, when we get that fall transition where the water temperatures are cooling down, the fish are slowing down a little bit, but they're slowing down, but they want a bigger meal. Okay, they're not out there looking for a bunch of little minnows, they're looking for one meal they can have. And then so that's when I'll you know, beef up the presentation a little bit just to entice that walleye to bite. Also with the 3-inch versions, I will like to also rig that on drop shot. And not only that, this can be the 4-inchers are good too, just use a little bit bigger hook, and you can, you know, entice those fish to bite, and drop shot is the ultimate way to finesse when those fish are a little bit stingy.
Now, the couple times I've had to fish with Tom, I can tell you firsthand he likes to use those minnows. Another bait that he uses all the time is the grub, and he's been using it a lot already on the professional tour, and he's going to talk a little bit now why he likes this bait and where it fits into his arsenal.
All right, so when we hear, you know, in the fishing world with plastics, we hear, you know, the word grub. We've heard it for years, like, you know, your standard grubs for all sorts of fishing, and it sounds boring, but you know, not necessarily anymore. This little eye candy grub is becoming my favorite, just for the fact that it mimics almost any primary walleye forage in the lakes that I fish. Okay, like I got it in black here, but it comes in all the, you know, natural minnow colors and everything. But this black here, it makes a perfect silhouette. It looks like a minnow. It can look like a minnow. It can look like a leech. And I got it rigged here on drop shot. And for the fact that eye candy plastics float, when this thing is in the water, it's sitting perfectly horizontal like this. And also with traditional grub style baits and the traditional plastics, these thin, like this is a super thin tail, and these thin tails get bit off immediately, typically on normal plastics. But this eye candy plastic, not a chance. I mean, I've had one bit off all year long, and I've caught a lot of fish already. I'm already, what, 8 tournaments in, but you can see the stretch on this. It's unbelievable. My first eye candy fish that I caught was with this, and it was on the Illinois River, and I was slipping the river with a 3/8 ounce tungsten jig, and it was perfect. And the watercolor was dirty, so this black made the perfect silhouette. So the bait really stood out, and the fish was able to key in on it. But these tails swim perfectly in river current, or if, like here on the lake, you know, you cast it out and your pendulum, you know, cast it out over a fish and let it swing back to you. This tail is constantly swimming. Or even if you're sitting down, just, you know, with your drop shot here, and you're just hovering it right over a fish, just that little action, this tail is going crazy. So it's a good leech imitator, it's a good minnow imitator. Just the profile, the design of this bait is close to perfection.
Next up, Tom is going to talk about the Jig Crawler, which is one of my favorite baits in the lineup. It's super versatile. You can put it on a jig, you can put it on a drop shot and do some eye shotting. But it's just a great bait, and Tom's going to talk about right now how it fits into his arsenal.
All right, so this is the eye candy Jig Crawler, and this particular color is called Natural Core. It almost has a purple looking core with an amber covering, and it just looks very similar to a night crawler when it's underwater. It's perfect for the summertime months. You can either hop it off the bottom, or, you know, just like when we're using a standard jig and crawler, toss it out there to the fish, drag it back, and again, the same idea for all of the eye candy line is that the fact that these plastics float. So this jig is going to be on the bottom and basically stand up like this, and this shape is also very unique to plastics. Like, you got this forked tail here that does a little flapping action. It's just perfect. And then also, I can't say this enough, but you can see how nice that plastic looks, like how dense it is, but look how much you can stretch it. It's almost transparent there. You can barely even see that. But it's a big deal, not only because, you know, eye candy it's one of the first plastics geared specifically for walleyes, but then also one of the first plastics that is geared for you adding your own scent to plastic. And this stretch is actually key to that, because when you're applying scent and stuff like that, you see the stretch, it opens up those pores, it stretches out that plastic, and then when it contracts, it's locking all of that scent into that plastic. But this Jig Crawler is perfect either on a jig or drop shot presentations. It's killer.
Next up, we have the Night Crawler, which is a really cool kind of night crawler imitator. And I've personally been in the boat when this thing has caught a bunch of fish behind a spinner rig. So it's a cool bait, and Tom is going to talk a little bit on his thoughts on this particular shape.
All right, so I got the new eye candy night crawler here, and it's 6 inches. It has a little swimming tail here. It's like a little perfect action back here. But I just got back from a tournament, NWT tournament in South Dakota, and I had another angler come up to me and ask if I had any extra for him to buy, because he was using these on crawler harnesses with spinners, and I don't even know if that's the right terminology, but you know, he caught all of his fish on the eye candy night crawlers, and he had a really decent finish, so that's something to be said. I'm looking forward to getting out, and Nate and I dialed in a pattern last year, and I'm looking forward to getting out and trying to duplicate this year. So you guys stay tuned, and I'll for sure be posting when I make this work. But this is 6 inches. Literally, you could probably stretch this thing to about 3 feet, 4 feet. It's absolutely insane. But there again, that's the new eye candy by Northland, the new technology. It's unbelievable, and it comes in multiple different colors. Of course, you can get your favorite ones, and also don't forget your scent options. And there's many out there that you can get if you're into that, and these plastics hold it perfectly.
All right, last up we have the paddle shad, which seems to be the most popular shape so far as what people have been liking, what people have been buying. Really effective, and Tom is going to talk now about how it fits into what he likes to do when he's chasing walleyes.
I'm excited to incorporate this when I'm fishing these weeds for walleyes. There's a lot of the cabbage beds and normal weed beds out there that I like to locate the walleyes in, pitch this in, and literally just rip it out. You know, just give it those rips, and then all of a sudden you got a walleye hanging on it. There's really, you know, there's a little bit of learning curve to fish those weeds and locating the fish, but there's nothing like that bite. There's absolutely nothing like your rod just being loaded up and you having to haul that fish out of the weeds on some finesse style lines, finesse weight line. But this little paddle tail here, this little tail, you can actually retrieve this fairly slowly, and this tail still has that nice action. There's a lot of paddle tails out there that you have to give it some speed, and speed is good at times, but there's a lot of times you want to annoy that walleye into eating, and sometimes the best thing is just to slow roll that. Let that fish follow until it gets so annoyed, and if it grabs this short, just keep reeling, because a lot of times we know we get short struck all the time, whether it's live bait or plastics, and then we pull it and the fish pull it right out of their mouths. But with this technology being so elastic, you just keep pulling, you keep reeling in that bait, and you'll feel the stretch. You can actually feel that the walleye doesn't completely have it, but then when you feel that hard thump, you know he has that jig in his mouth. So just get ready to set the hook. But these paddle tails are gonna change things.
All right, well, that's about all we got for you in this video. Special thanks to Tom for sharing a bunch of good information, talking about, you know, how he likes to use all these different baits, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. And if you did, make sure to hit that little red subscribe button down below, because we have a lot more awesome content coming in the future. And until then, we will see you in the next one.